Well, for more on this, Angela Kitching, who is the head of public affairs for Age UK, joins us now live from London. Angela, good to have you on the show. Now, we just went over some of the numbers, but by the year 2050, 2 billion people, that's over 20% of the world's population, will be 6 years older. What type of challenges does this present?
I think we've got to see this as a story of opportunity as well as one of challenges. So, I mean, of course, there are challenges in terms of the way we structure the money available to people in older age or the care that they receive and how much of that is provided by the family or the state. But actually, in this country, in England at the moment, older people add £160 billion to the UK economy by working, by caring, by volunteering, by getting stuck in their communities. And so I think there's an awful lot of potential that the older population offers to the world, and we need to be celebrating that.
You mentioned that this could be an opportunity, and you mentioned volunteerism, but older people are often overlooked. They're underestimated, they're cast with stereotypes. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about some of the major contributions that older people make to our society.
Increasingly, we find that older people are really at the core of their families, so they are often providing kinship care for their grandchildren or for their nieces and nephews, which allows other people to go out and be economically active. We also find that older people are the people who are supporting much older generations in their households. So women in their 50s and 60s might be supporting up to 4 grandparents themselves, whilst also providing care for younger people. But in their communities, they're really at the heart of driving community activity in this country. So older people will be found volunteering in libraries, making sure that people get help when they're eating in hospitals. And these are the kind of unacknowledged contributions that they continue to make.
And how about experience? You can't beat the experience of a person, as older person. All right. One of the United Nations' big goals is sustainable development. That's a term that's been thrown around. How does demographics matter in this respect?
Well, if you look at who is looking after children, for example, when there's refugee movement, it's often that the people who are economically active had to go somewhere first, and then left behind there are grandparents who are looking after the family home and are looking after children. So in terms of development, if we're talking about the challenges in the world, it's often the older people who are trying to hold their families and their communities together. And absolutely, there's a lot of wisdom to be passed on too in happier times. So if you look at our traditions, our religious traditions, stories, song, and the things that really make our communities function, then you'll find that older people are at the heart of those traditions.
All right, Angela, thank you very much for joining us. I really enjoyed the story. Thank you.